Well, welcome back to the dissecting of the 2025 Pure Worship Convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. So we've been dissecting it. It's evening time here where we live. We live in the province of British Columbia, the furthest west. It would be about equivalent to the California time if you're in the U.S. So right here today in our time, it's 8:30, about 8:30. So we just finished going through everything in the first Friday morning. This is just Friday morning of the assembly. So what did we get out of it? Well, stay tuned and you'll see. It talks a lot about the demons, about Satan, and I thought this is I didn't think it was unusual, but for a religious convention that's all about Jesus, all about love, we're going to talk about that in a bit. This right out the gate was all about Satan, and of course we played the sexy Jesus. And I put together a little video I'm going to play you guys of where they were talking about this, being half naked. They actually talked about being half naked. So let's get into this. But before we get going, when we think about Satan, the devil, as a Jehovah's Witness, I was one for 28 years. I was married. Well, I was a J-Dub for 30 years, married into it for 28 years. And towards the end, I told you guys a little bit of my ending story. I sold my house in a week in Spruce Grove when I put it up for sale. That's after my daughter moved out. Moved up to Westlock, where my folks were. I pulled the fifth wheel in. My dad was on dialysis at the time, and in the farmhouse, beautiful house, vaulted ceilings and all pine and cedar shakes and stuff like that. My dad did a good job. I helped him finish it. But he was on dialysis, and it was a half hour from town where he had to get treatments. So I financed a house for him in Westlock and helped them move so that he just had a short distance to go to dialysis, and they had a little bus that could pick him up. But anyways, I moved out to the farm, and my parents were just moved out, so just finished kind of cleaning the house. There was a couch in there, but we were living in the camper, the fifth wheel. It's a big fifth wheel. And anyways, my ex's divorced friend came over. She's a divorcee, a sister, JW. And we didn't really have a spare room for her, but we said, hey, go stay in the house, So she slept on the couch. And, that's what this is about. So she sleeps on the couch, and she comes out the next morning just white as a ghost because she heard demons scurrying about the basement all night. So my ex, of course, she was in full agreement. These are raised in, born in JWs, and everything's demonized. For the whole life, everything was demonized. I was throwing out my grandmother, any of my worldly family's presents, that gifts they would give us, I would eventually have to throw them out because they were demonized somehow. So anyways, my ex she was in full agreement. That house is demonized. She didn't like half the stuff in the yard. It was my folks. They were worldly, and they collected antiques, and they had a whole shed full of antiques. And of course, that was all demonized. But she was ready to burn the whole house down. This is a house that's on the market would sell for $300,000 and $400,000. She was ready to burn the whole house down, literally. And I says, it's not going to happen. We're not burning the house down. And then she says, well, okay, well then let's build a brand new one and you can finance it. And I said, no, that's not happening either. So we stayed in the camper. Everyone was afraid to sleep in the house. And a few days later, my buddy, he's an ex-JW, Lee, and he comes down for a visit. And he comes over. We don't have anywhere for him to sleep, so he had to sleep in the house. And we told him it was demonized. The other sister that stayed in there, she said there's demons in it. It's demonized. No one wanted to really go near the house. I was even not sure, kind of, because I had this JW mind in my head, listening to all these assemblies that we're going to listen to. We're going to play about 8 minutes. We crunched it down into about 8 minutes. And so anyways, he stays overnight in the house. He's a kind of a pretty brave guy, ex-JW. He got out before I did. He stays in the house, and he walks down to the fifth wheel in the morning. We had breakfast ready, with a big smile on his face, and he said, "Yep, I heard it too. I heard the scurrying," and my heart dropped. I thought, well, but you know what he did? He said, instead of jumping to this demon thing, he did what any reasonable person would do. He investigated. He crept down the stairs, flashlight in hand, and what did he find? Well, he found the demons. There was just a few mice scurrying about in the basement. And what a relief. Well, I felt relieved. But here's the kicker. My ex never did move into that house. Shortly after that, she left me. She ran off for a Hutterite lifestyle. She thought it was more pompous. They had the truth. They're going to be the only ones that are going to make it. It's like a lot of these ex-JWs kind of leave, and then they go back. Like that ex or that divorcee and my ex-wife, they all kind of left, and then they all go back. They don't miss assemblies. So it's interesting, when we reflect on these things. So, but here's the thing, folks. When you're stuck in a fear-based religion, you see demons everywhere. Every creek, every shadow, every problem in your life, it's all Satan. All the time. But the truth is, most of the time, it's just life. It's mice. It's stress. It's unresolved traumas that a lot of the JWs have. My ex-wife had it. From her childhood, CSA issues. It's the things that we refuse to face. And that's exactly what I saw when I dug into the transcripts from this year's 2025 District Convention. I went through 5 full talks from the Friday morning sessions, line by line. And folks, here's what I found. And before I show you it, I'll show you where I found it. Okay, so here's the Friday morning, I guess the program that you get off JW.org Friday morning. So I went through this talk, the symposium, all of these talks here, and then this talk. There was five programs, 5 talks, including the chairman's address. We went through it all. And this is what JW.org, they want to get into you. Let me just pull up my transcripts. See what? There we go. There we are. So each of these is a transcript. Each of these videos we got off Void. So we had the videos don't come with transcripts. We had to run them through a program to build a transcript. So this is an example what you get. So what I did is I went through all the transcripts, and I found the word Satan showed up 54 times. 54 times, the word Satan. And Satans, another 9 times. The devil, 5 times. Demons and demons, 3 each. And that's a total of 74 fear-based mentions in their, as I went through the transcripts. And how many times did they talk about love? Just 8 times. Just 8 times. And loves, in plural, loves, just once. Just once. And loving, not a single time. And that's a fact. So for every 1 mention of love, there are 8 mentions of Satan and demons. And what about Jesus? Well, you'd think he'd be the star of the show, right? Well, they do mention him 168 times, but most of the time it's about being tempted or tested by Satan. It's in relationship to Satan. It's all framed around fear, control, and obedience. It's not, folks, this is not framed around love. Not at all. So I put together a little video for you guys to look at. And I don't know, you tell me. Is this pure worship to you? Or does it sound like fear-based programming? Pure worship, that's the name of their assembly. Love's hard, not even mentioned, like it's mentioned a few times. This is a religious program. I'm bringing my family a great distance. I'm traveling 5 hours. I'm getting up at 6 in the morning to get my family ready, get all our lunches made, so we can get in. I gotta go early to get seats for the family. We want to get good seats. And then I got to go back and pick them up and go back. That's the nonsense. That's the game a lot of J-dubs play. And then we come in the door, and folks, this is the fear-based programming right out the gate. So we're just started Friday morning. Here's my Friday morning take on the 2025 District Convention Pure Worship. Here it is. And then you won't wonder why my ex wanted to burn a perfectly good house down. And then you won't wonder why some person can say you're demonized. And then pretty soon that spreads like gangrene through the whole crowd of JWs, all your family, all your friends. No one will ever talk to you again because you're demonized. And they reinforce that with these kind of assemblies to segregate their people, to keep them in fear of what's out there. So here we go, folks. I hope you enjoy it. And pay special attention to right towards the end where they get into nakedness, even half nakedness, and what they say about it. We'll see you after the video.
Here we have Satan and Jesus. And so he, that is Satan, brought him, Jesus, up and showed him all the kingdoms of the inhabited earth in an instant of time. Then the devil said to him, I will give you all this authority. Well, did you see what Satan offered Jesus? He offered him all the kingdoms of the inhabited earth. And Satan even acknowledged that such authority had been handed over to him, that the devil had that power to Satan as the ruler of the world. I witnessed when Satan claimed that his rule would be better than that of the Creator. Jehovah gave Satan a measure of authority to show that Satan is really the one who rules the world. 3 questions related to Satan's rulership of the world. How does Satan use his authority? Pure worship while living in Satan's world. How does Satan use his authority? From under Satan's authority. And how Satan uses his authority? He uses his spirit to work on people. It reminds me of a wildfire that we had close to Warwick, Bethel, about a mile north of the complex. And that wildfire had smoke that just permeated the air, but it even seeped into the buildings. It was inescapable. Well, similarly, the polluted air of this world, Satan's world, is so pervasive, it's inescapable. And as the ruler of the authority of the air, Satan influences the thinking, the speech, the conduct of people throughout this world. We see that. And that's the reason why they act the way they do. How Adam and Eve were influenced by Satan with these people. They have taken a deep breath of the polluted air of this world that Satan is the authority of. We also see Satan's authority reflected in the way human governments rule. It is depicting human governments as an ugly, fearsome, wild beast. In fact, it has 10 heads and 10 horns and 7 heads. It's hideous. But why liken human governments to a wild beast? Well, another reason that Satan has influenced these governments is that he has given authority to them. The Bible does not say that Satan directly controls each leader or official. So we have to be careful when we think about this. Well, Satan also uses governments to draw people away from worshiping Jehovah. Remember how Satan offered Jesus control of the governments in exchange for one act of worship? Well, today, Satan promotes worshipful allegiance to beast-like governments, pressuring people to take sides in politics today. So that's how Satan uses his authority to control people's thinking and their conduct. River of persecution from Satan, the devil. How Satan uses his authority to try to shape people's mind and conduct. How can we carry on our worship while living in Satan's world? Render pure worship in a world ruled by Satan the devil until he is cast out, until he is expelled, until he is fired permanently as the ruler of this world.
Scriptures prophesy or foretell that Satan and the demons will be destroyed, that the earth will become a paradise.
This morning we watched the portrayal of Satan repeatedly tempting Jesus. What were you thinking as you watched that? How wicked Satan is. How crafty. He did not hold back from tempting even Jesus. How can we succeed in resisting the temptations that Satan puts before us? By imitating Jesus' responses to the tempter. First, we'll consider how Satan tempted Jesus. Next, how Satan tempts us in similar ways today. The first temptation that Satan presented. Let's begin in Matthew chapter 4, verse 1. Led by the Spirit up into the wilderness to be tempted by the devil. Satan began by saying, "If you are a son of God." Was there any question in Satan's mind about Jesus' identity? No, of course not. Satan knew full well who Jesus was. So Satan, in effect, was saying, "You're God's son. So why doesn't your Father feed you in this barren wilderness?" Perhaps Satan was trying to cause Jesus to doubt. Satan was trying to provoke Jesus into using his miraculous power in a selfish way. Satan must have been delighted. Now, how may Satan tempt us in a similar way today? Satan may tempt us, as he did Jesus, by appealing to a natural human desire. For example, Satan tempts individuals to satisfy sexual desires whenever and with whomever they want, rather than wait for an honorable marriage. Satan uses pornography to fuel sexual immorality. And Satan knows this. And Satan, as we have seen, is a wicked opportunist. So,
These women are barely wearing anything. How did this stuff even get on my feed?
Hey, Dad.
why am I still getting these posts? Satan always tries to exploit our natural desires, like he did with Jesus.
If you are a son of God, tell these stones to become loaves of bread.
There are desires that we have that are natural, but satisfying those desires in a selfish way would not be right.
It is written, man must live not on bread alone, but on every word that comes from Jehovah's mouth.
If this app could lead me to damage my relationship with Jehovah, it's not for me.
For example, he knows that not only is pornography unclean, but any material that inflames wrong desires is unclean, even if it doesn't depict total nudity or sexual acts. Even if it doesn't depict total nudity. Remember, our enemy is wicked and crafty, and he will use natural desires as a source of temptation.
Well, what did you think? There was a lot of clips. They talked a lot about Satan. Like, he talked a lot about Satan. When I listened to this, he could have not talked about Satan. He could have just... But he threw Satan in a whole pile of times. It's like he likes using the word Satan. It gives him some kind of power to use that word. I don't even like talking about it. Now, I want to get over to this guy. This guy gets going, and then he shows us this clip of this guy looking at looking at his apps, and he gets close to a girl. You'll see just ahead of a girl, and it's Satan. Then he has these visions. It's Satan. It's like the air in Bethel. It was on fire all around Bethel, right? And the speaker was talking about it, how it was like Satan. It's like the smoke that got under the doors and into the hallway. I wonder what they were thinking in Bethel, if that was Satan. Well, he used it in his illustration to acknowledge that Bethel almost burnt down. And we ran a lot of videos on that. So they thought they might as well start talking about some of this stuff, because us apostates get this news out really quick. So now this guy, he deletes his app. He has a Satan vision. He's sitting there with this kid. He has another post that comes up, and there's some woman. Well, I looked at the woman on there. Just watch this. I'll turn it on here. See what...
Satan always tries to exploit our natural desires, like he did with Jesus.
Okay.
If you are a son.
So here it is. There, did you see it? Just right there. There's all it is the head of a girl. and I'll let it play through. She's not even naked. There's no nakedness at all. It's just people at some party. Look. And he had another posting. It was similar. So now he goes and deletes the app because Satan's in his house. There's the other app. That's all he's seen there is someone, a couple drinks. Well, Jehovah's Witnesses are always pouring a lot of drinks. He was probably searching for the type of booze he's going to go down to the liquor store and buy. And that's how these apps work. If you're searching for it, it's going to throw booze stuff up in front of you. Let's just listen to it. Watch this. Now that girl was fully dressed. Did you see that? I don't know if you watch it again here. I'll put it in slow motion here. And we'll slow it right down. Just watch it here. I'm not in the screen. You can see it. There she is. So there's the girl, fully dressed, fully clothed, holding a ball. She's doing some yoga. Like, there's not even cleavage there, folks. And he's deleting this app because that showed up on his feed. That's what they're teaching people. So he deletes the app. So I should just put that back to normal. But then they do the whole pornography thing with Jesus. And after, this guy tells you that even half clothed is pornography, even sexual desires. So let me ask you this. I'll just silence this here. But when you look at the assembly, let's say the assembly program's playing, and everyone's there, all the sisters are there. Now they're thinking about sexy Jesus. Through the whole assembly program, here's sexy Jesus. That's all they can think about. And there's a lot of imagery in here with Jesus, his facial expression. You know, they picked a hunk of a Jesus. He towers above everyone else. If you haven't seen it, we did a video premiere last night, Sexy Jesus. We showed all the baptisms, and even John the Baptist, the brother they're using, they ripped the sleeves off. They ripped the sleeves off the shirts, but all the other brothers have long sleeves covering their muscles, except Jesus and John the Baptist. Why? You see, JW.org, they're presenting soft porn at their assembly. On one hand, they're telling their people, delete it if you have a fully clothed person doing yoga. Delete it. It's suggestive. That's what they're telling you. And yet, they're throwing soft porn Jesus in front of the audience. The sisters are getting all sweaty and hot throughout the whole assembly. I can't wait to watch the rest of this assembly and see how sweaty and hot these sisters are going to become after watching Jesus. This is all about Jesus. Their new lab down in Australia, where they're doing all this stuff, this photography, this studio. They poured millions into that down there, and now they're going to do the Ramapo, get it up in the US. But this is where this organization is going. Hollywood movies, soft porn, but then they counsel their people to stay away from the wicked world and stay away from even half clothed images. That's what they said. You've seen it for yourself. So this is interesting. Okay, so, well, that's about it for now. We'll get another video going once we do the afternoon session. We'll see how that rolls out tomorrow. But let me ask you this question. Have you ever been in a situation like that where it wasn't Satan? You know, I gave you the illustration of my house, the old farmhouse. You know, it was just mice. You know, it wasn't Satan. Where's Satan? You know, these situations come up. You know, some things are just life. So leave a comment, share your story, and let's help each other break free from this fear. You know, and as always, live your life with love. And if you're married, live your wife with love. That works too. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.